The latest coronavirus relief stimulus bill in the House of Representatives includes $1 billion for the Technology Modernization Fund. Some Democrats in the House say this funding would allow agencies to respond to the virus better and respond better to the economic needs of the country. Congressman Gerry Connolly is chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Government Operations Subcommittee. Mr. Chairman, welcome. Thanks for coming back on the program. What's this money going to go for if it gets in there? What do you like about what TMF is doing so far that you want to see more of?
Well, thank you, Francis. It's great to be back with you. The TMF is a function of the FATA structural legislation we adopted 5 years ago. And it's sort of to be seen as a subset. It's an empowering provision, if you will, that is supposed to provide catalytic capital to retire legacy systems. And the problem has been getting my colleagues in Congress on the Appropriations Committee to understand how critically necessary that investment, that additional investment is. So for some members of Congress, it's counterintuitive you need it at all, right? We spend $96 billion a year on federal IT, but 80% of that $96 billion is spent simply maintaining legacy systems. So if I'm going to incentivize an agency head to engage in a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar effort to replace those legacy systems, I got to give them some capital to incentivize them. And I think so far Congress, frankly, has failed on that job.
The other prong of the MGT Act that established TMF was that the agencies should stand up their own working capital funds. Are you satisfied with the progress that agencies have made in that area?
We've made some progress since the last FATA Scorecard, but there's still a long ways to go. So some agencies simply can't identify or don't want to identify, the capital necessary to do that. And then some others are being advised by the general counsel that they don't really have the legal authority to do it, even though we passed a law saying you did. And so, we need to be working with the agencies, with the general counsels, with the CIOs to incentivize that. And as you know, we do grade that as part of the scorecard. But no, I think more progress can be made. Going back to the TMF, the Technology Management Fund, in the last appropriation, we got $25 million. That's it. So as you pointed out, in the HEROES Act, we put $1 billion in there because that's real money. That will incentivize agencies to make the necessary upgrades and investments we're seeking and to retire those legacy systems that are cyber insecure, very inefficient, highly cost, and really slow down agencies' ability to fulfill their missions.
I would love to dig into the idea of the TMF board, Gerry, and what you think of how they are doing so far, but we have limited time, unfortunately. I want to know, more importantly than that, I think, the FATA scorecard, to my amateur eye, the 10th one that just came out, looks pretty decent. Are these agencies meeting the spirit of the FATA law that you and Congressman Issa wrote as much as they're meeting the letter of it as it appears according to the scorecard?
Yeah, that's a great question, Francis, because I think that's always what you're looking for. I don't want the scorecard to evolve into a check the box and collect your prize. This is about a process of improvement that's continuous. One of the things I think we have really made progress on, though, and that's why the scores have gone up. For the first time, there are no Ds and no Fs. And I think one of the reasons for that is we have made real progress in empowering CIOs. They've been able to get the attention. They've been able to seize the mission and working with heads of agencies much more frequently and being able to be innovators within their agencies. And that empowerment is, I think, critical. So while some people may approach it bureaucratically as check the box, I think far more CIOs get it that this is about a transformative process whereby we really bring our agency into the 21st century, and we integrate that technology into the mission. And we've got plenty of examples during the COVID-19 crisis where agency IT systems have been exposed for their weaknesses.
Are there agencies where the CIO or the IT organization is fulfilling that vision that you established, regardless of what the agency's grade is on the scorecard, Gerry? Is there an agency or agencies that you can point to and say, they're doing it right, and other agencies should emulate that?
Yeah, I think we had a number of agencies come before the committee at our last hearing where we highlighted that. I don't know, one example, AID, for example, really, has been very aggressive in trying to get with the program, and they've had, a CIO who's provided that kind of leadership. And I think more and more agencies are getting with that program. And but for me, in an organizational chart, the CIO's got to report to the boss. If you have a CIO who's reporting to the deputy assistant widget director in the bowels of the agency, that CIO is not going to be successful.
Mr. Chairman, it's great to have you on as always. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Francis. Keep up the great work.